everyone, welcome back. My name is Rohan Bijou, and today we're going to take a look at a really cool budget smartwatch that comes at around $39.99 US, and it's called the IOWODO X5 smartwatch. And it has some really cool features for a budget smartwatch. You can track your steps, send you notifications, track your heart rate, and so much more. So I don't want to spoil everything for you because we're going to cover that all in today's video. So in today's video, we're going to talk about unboxing, talk about the app that connects with the smartwatch, then talk about the specs, and then finally talk about my experience and my final verdict for the X5. But before we begin, you've probably seen that my studio has changed. There's a lot of stuff happening around and a lot of changes are going to come up with my channel. There's actually a really big one coming up. So if you don't want to miss that and want to stay tuned to that, follow me on Instagram at technoreview.official, and you can also partake in helping with this sort of renovation. So follow me on Instagram to know more about that. So before we begin, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to watch more future content like this. Like this video if you found this helpful, and comment any questions, concerns, and I'll try my best to answer them. So without further ado, first stop is unboxing. Awesome, so the box looks really decent, but it does lack some imagery, and I wouldn't actually know if it was a smartwatch inside without the text on front, but the packaging still gets its job done. Let's pop the box open. The first thing we see is a user manual with all the info you need about the watch. Next, we have an extra armband that looks really cool, and it's probably the one I'm going to be switching to because it looks really nice. The red and black has a really good combination with the smartwatch. Next, we have the magnetic charging cable, which will attach magnetically to the bottom of the watch, and finally, there's the watch itself with a QR code on the front. The QR code actually leads your phone to the compatible app, which we'll be talking about in a second. My first impressions of the smartwatch were amazing. It felt really durable with a metal top, but the sides and back were made out of plastic, but I understand why they would go for that since it'd be easier on the skin. So that was basically it for the unboxing and my first impressions. Now let's talk about the compatible app with the X5. So connecting your phone to the watch is going to be really simple. All you have to do is scan the QR code on the watch itself and then download the H-band app on your smartphone. Either Android or iOS, it's compatible with both. There you can log in with your email, or you can just not log in if you would like to. There you can connect your device and you should be all set with that. And the app is a really cool centralized place to see all of your data, and I'll be talking about that later on this video. So now let's talk about specs. The X5 has a round 1.3 inch IPS screen, and the screen has Gorilla Glass, and the watch's body consists of zinc alloy. The screen is super responsive for a budget smartwatch and is sometimes way too responsive, so you might actually accidentally click on something that you were not trying to click just because you were trying to scroll or swipe, and it's sometimes a bit annoying to use. As shown in the unboxing, you'll receive two skin-friendly straps, one black and one black and red. I prefer the black and red, and it just looks a bit more cooler, as I said before. On the sides of the watch, there are two buttons that can be used to wake up your watch. The top button, more specifically, is used to bring the user back to the clock face, and the bottom button is used to access the menu to choose different features. The watch has an IP68 waterproofing rating, which I tested in the raging oceans. Just kidding, it was just Niagara Falls. It houses a 260 milliamp hour battery, which can work for about 10 days on paper, but if you are going to use it intensively for activity tracking, it can last up to 8 days, which is not really bad. On standby though, the watch can last about 30 days on paper. The charging process is actually super simple. All you have to do is attach the magnetic charger to the bottom of the watch right there, and you should be all set. The other end obviously has to be connected to a brick, but that's it. So it should take about 2 hours to charge your watch entirely. When you turn on your watch, the first thing you should see is the clock face, which you can customize on the watch itself by holding down the screen and swiping left or right. There are some amazing choices to choose from, but I'm going to stick with this one since it gives me the most information at a glance. But there are also some amazing watch faces that can be downloaded from the app itself, and there are so many options to choose from. And there's also a clock face that looks suspiciously like the Apple Nike clock face. So this is the X5 and this is the Apple Nike. You can probably see the similarity. There's also an opportunity to add your own photo, which adds that personal touch to your smartwatch. On the home clock face, you can swipe down to open up some quick settings. You can find your phone, which is really nice. It plays a ringtone on your phone so that you can identify it. You can set the alarm, change the brightness, turn on do not disturb, and pull up watch information. It will also tell you the time and date info, the battery info, and if you're connected to your phone or not. You can swipe up on the clock face to reveal notifications, which is amazing. When you receive notifications, your watch will vibrate, and in my opinion, it vibrates way too loudly. It can be very audible when it vibrates against your skin, and sometimes might startle you or it might startle people next to you. But in the end, it still gets your job. It still notifies you and you are aware of that notification. It also has a sedentary reminder asking you to get up and move if it detects you trying to be lazy, which is a really nice touch. But as I said, with the vibration, there's this really long, prolonged vibration to kind of encourage you to get up, and it sometimes might startle you or people around you. and it's just kind of annoying because usually every hour or so I keep on having that. It just scares me when I get that notification. But you can definitely do stop the vibration just by hitting one of the buttons or just turning do not disturb. That should just make sure your watch doesn't vibrate and doesn't startle you. The X5 has 8 main app functions, so to speak: sports, stopwatch, timer, music, female, photograph, weather, and the settings. These can all be accessed by clicking the menu button, which makes them really accessible. There's also some features only accessible when swiping right or left on the clock face. You can access steps with calories burned and distance traveled. My favorite one, the sleep monitor, the weather data, which can be accessed on the menu, and a great heart rate chart, which shows your current heart rate, your highest and lowest heart rate, and puts it into perspective on a graph, which is just lovely. And it's great to see it on the smartwatch itself and not on the app, because I've seen this feature on the apps of many budget smartwatches, but having it on the smartwatch itself is just really nice. Awesome, so now let's move on to the scroll menu features. So first off, let's start with sports. So sports has about 9 different modes listed on the sports function, but in reality, you can see right here, I've listed all of them down. Some of them repeat. There is outdoor running, indoor running, and it's just kind of, you know, it's not really that different. That's technically not even 9. That's mostly like 6 if you bunch them together. I feel like they could have added a bit more, since I've personally seen a lot more activity functions in other budget smartwatches, and I feel like this wouldn't satisfy a lot of users trying to use a smartwatch for activity training. Awesome, so now let's talk about the stopwatch, which works as a great stopwatch. I mean, this is a watch after all, and the timer function also works really great. Next, there's also the music controller, which lets you pause, play, skip songs, which is amazing. And I love the design of the UI, the specific gradient. It looks really nice and clean. I just feel like they could have applied that sort of design onto different functions, kind of make it a bit more modern and cooler. But it's just really cool for that specific UI. I'll give props to that. Then there's the female function, which tracks period cycles. I haven't gotten a chance to use it, but I think it would be very helpful to certain individuals. So next, we're gonna talk about the photograph feature, which is actually geniusly implemented. So if you have your smartwatch, you can just move on to the photograph and touch the photograph function, and then pull up your phone and go to camera. So you have to be on camera for this to work. All you have to do is shake the smartwatch and it takes a photo. So most people think that there's probably some line of code that they write that kind of works its magic on the camera, but instead it's actually really simple and it's absolutely genius. All they had to do was program the watch when you shake to hit a volume button. So if you probably didn't know already, if you have your camera and hit the volume button, it takes a photo. So it's for some people who can't reach the camera button when trying to take a photo. Instead, they just put it on the volume bumper if you wanted to do it that way. And that's all they did here, and it's just a really, really cool trick. Awesome, so now let's talk about the weather feature, which is my favorite feature yet because it's so useful and it's so unique to the X5. I tried 3 or 4 other smartwatches, budget smartwatches, and they don't have this feature. And it's just amazing that they thought to add that in, because every time I can just take a look at my watch, see if it's gonna rain, grab an umbrella if it is, and it's just really, really convenient. And you can even see it on your home screen if you'd like. Swipe left or right, you can access it that way, or you can just go to the main function to access the weather data, and I absolutely love it, and it's actually really accurate as well. And then finally, we have the settings function, and there you can change the brightness. And talking about brightness, this smartwatch is amazing outside. You can use it when the sun is blaring down at you, and you should definitely be able to see what's going on your screen. And on the settings page, you can also change the clock face, download the app on your phone, and you can also clear your data. And talking about data, you can track your sleep, you can track your steps, your heart rate, all of those things will go into your app where you can see it in a centralized place. And I also mentioned sleep, which I haven't talked about before. And this watch can track your sleep, your REM sleep, all that minor data, see how long you were in REM sleep. It's just a really cool addition to that smartwatch, but I don't really think it'd be a great way to kind of trust that, since it's a budget smartwatch. The heart rate might be off, the sleep monitor might be off. It's a bit off most of the time, but it still does its job if you want a budget smartwatch. But it's great that they just have that feature in. The X5 does not have a tap to wake, but instead you can use the buttons to turn on the smartwatch if you want to use it. And there's another way to turn on your smartwatch, and that's raise to turn on. So basically, when you flip your hand towards you, it automatically turns on. And this is a feature you sort of see in most flagship smartwatches, which is really insane that they were able to add that into the X5. Awesome, so that was basically it for the specs and some of my thoughts on those specs. So now let's move on to my experience and my final verdict. I really enjoyed my time with the X5, and it was a really useful watch that let me know if I got any notifications and even sent me reminders if my heart rate got really high. It tells me the weather and actually goes above and beyond compared to other smartwatches I've tried before, but it does also lack in some areas. And one of them is the intensity of the vibration on the smartwatch. It's just really too much. It startles me and other people around me when it turns on. It's very audible. Say you were in a movie theater and you did forget to turn it off. Most smartwatches would have like this silent buzz, but you wouldn't hear it if you were like 2 rows or like 2 seats away. But with this watch, it's definitely audible and it's very noticeable, which is sometimes really not that great. And number 2 is the amount of fitness options available on the smartwatch. In total, it does say it has 9, but in reality, after, grouping them together, you only have 6. And I feel like this would be an amazing fix, and I feel like it'd be a sort of easy fix since I feel like there's a lot of components inside that can be utilized for other fitness activities, and I've seen other smartwatches implement that. This can be easily fixed with a software update. They could add more features like weightlifting, intensity training, which just requires like a timer and just sort of counting your calories, how much you've done. It'd be an easy way just to fix that just by sending out a software update. And hopefully IOWODO takes its advice and sort of implements that into their next version. But overall, these are the only 2 complaints I have right now, but you have to keep in mind this is a budget smartwatch and it does provide some amazing features for the price. So in my final verdict, I would give the X5 an 80 out of 100. There are some amazing features that are pretty unique to the X5, but there are certain features that does lack compared to other smartwatches in that same price range, and fixing that would create an amazing budget smartwatch. And as always, I've left a couple links in the description so you can go check out the X5. And if you are interested in other budget tech, I do have a playlist where I reviewed a ton of other smartwatches, other budget tech, and you can see that right over here on the iCard above. It's a really cool playlist, you guys should go check it out. And you can follow me at technoreview.official to see some updates on my videos and to help me choose something for a very big change. There's gonna be some really cool things that are going to change for my channel, and you can stay tuned on my Instagram page. So don't forget to subscribe if you want to watch more featured content like this. Like this video if you found this helpful, and comment any questions or concerns, and I'll try my best to answer them. So thank you guys for watching. Catch you in the next one. Peace.